Hello everyone and welcome to the Great British Grand Prix. It's a sprint race event, so we're already into the one-shot qualifying and Charlie is currently on top. Ticey joins us as reserve, for Williams in P2. Peanuts up to P2 now all of a sudden for a moment, back down to P3. We've got the championship leader in P10. Absolutely incredible scenes here. Zingy and Nifo are now P2 and 3 as Peanuts makes a few mistakes and drops down the order. They're trying to make some more progress. It's all a big switch up, but so far Charlie has not been contested. Zingy retires as they make a mistake. Oh, what a shame for Zingy, but Charlie is going to get there and take a clean pole position. A 26.4 for Nifo as they just jump ahead of Ticey at the end there. Brilliant stuff, and that is what you get with a one-shot qualifying for a sprint race event to start us off here in Silverstone. It's Charlie on pole position by 3/10 ahead of Nifo, Ticey, Peanuts, Tom Robb, Devon Young, Heischler, Igor, Simaxon, Becken, Verf and Zingy not starting or not finishing their lap in the end. That is the race director. We'll be back for the sprint race in a few moments. Ready? Hold! Go! Who's going to get it into turn one? They're on the inside line. Will they get the traction? No. Charlie swoops into P1 nice and cleanly. It's the two Red Bulls side by side with Peanuts. They manage to find their way through. Devon ahead. It's Tom going down the orders. Heischler returns to LSI, trying to make some progress up the field. That is a brilliant start though from Charlie. Unfortunately for Verf, they had connection issues, but they get back into this one and they'll be able to rejoin this race soon. Heischler's down the order in the early stages on the exit of turn 4 into 5. Don't quite know what happened there, but they are on the back of the pack and still ready to go in this race. We've got Devon Young very close to the back of Ticey there. They're looking hungry. They look like they want to make that move sooner rather than later. They've only got 9 laps here in Silverstone, and we are going to look at the tyres because it can be a bit of an interesting one around Silverstone. We have softs and mediums, a big mix-up right here. Now, Zingy to P6 already, despite not setting a lap. Absolutely incredible stuff. We unfortunately have some Max on a balanced setup, so they're having to drive in very difficult conditions, but they're still in this race, and they're doing a phenomenal job sitting behind the Scotsman at the moment. This is their teammate who's held on to that front row so far, and we do see Verf join back into this race. I believe they are on the back of the pack, which is awesome to see. Charlie leads the way on lap 2 out of 9 with the fastest laps to help them, of course. Will those soft tyres hold on, however? That is the question. We will see these softs probably return for the main race as well, and that could really bring some interesting things in for the strategy. Now, Ticey, they come back once again. It's been a while. We did see them here in the last Great British Grand Prix. That was the last round of last season where Zingy won with a very interesting condition. We had wet tyres and dry conditions in the very end, and it looked like we were going to get a few punctures, but Zingy took that top spot, and it was Ticey finishing... Oh, I've got that mixed up. Ticey finished in P6 that race, so they're looking to try and better their last finish if they can do so. That would be great this time, or not this time. They are continuing in the Williams car so far this season. A great qualifying position so far has definitely helped them. The two Ferraris are now switching positions. Peanuts having that brilliant qualifying session. Now Sir Maxon's trying their best with this soft tyre. It's possible that these tyres do drop off later. That is Sir Maxon going to be getting a track limit warning unless they avoided it. If they did avoid it, they would have just lost a fair bit of time. As you can see, 8 tenths already behind the other cars. It's Devon Young who goes ahead into the chicane of Ticey. A brilliant move, and they have to do it now, sooner rather than later, because those mediums are only going to get quicker. Now, I do think the softs are going to be good to go. Of course, that's the reason why they're on them, but it's going to be, an interesting one. That's a bit of contact right there from Zingy on the back of Ticey. Zingy wants to find a way through sooner rather than later. We've got the two Mercedes on different tyres, so they're going to be looking to try and maybe work something out here. Zingy, with having that qualifying blunder, I guess you could say, maybe needs to put Nifo in a priority for this race. Now, Zingy's hoping that Nifo will be able to beat their championship rival, Charlie, who is on a big charge, doing a brilliant job so far this season, despite missing out a few and having connection issues. They've still managed to win multiple races, and they are only matched by Zingy, I believe, of the multiple races. That is Nifo going into the lead of the Grand Prix. It's going to be Devon Young trying to follow through, and he does so. A brilliant move there. Charlie goes down 2 positions in one corner. Of course, assisted by a straight, but it was still done, and now they've got to try and find a rhythm with the medium tyre, now leading the Grand Prix for the first time this evening. Lap 4 to 9, we are coming towards the halfway mark. It's not going to be easy, it's going to be absolutely brutal. We've got Devon Young incredibly close to the back of Nifo, but nothing quite coming of it. So Maxon can't quite find the pace to hold on. It's going to be, Zingy and Ticey lock wheels, demon drag, and allow Sir Maxon to catch up. What has just happened there? The top 3 will be running away with this one, no doubt about it. It's going to be side by side of the 2 Ferraris as Sir Maxon's trying to stay ahead. It's Peanuts who's having to go on the offensive to be defensive, who's now lost a position to Tom Rob, and now has got 1 point to their name if they were to finish where they are. Igor is 1 position away from getting a point here in the sprint, and they can see that ahead of them for sure. Currently, Charlie's 24 points behind the championship leader of Sir Maxon. That is 20 points behind the Scotsman. So any points that they can gain is brilliant, but now they're only 1 position away. They need to try and win this race. It's incredibly close, further behind, as Peanuts makes the move on Tom Rob once again to make it P6. And now they've, got to try and help their teammate out, who is on a very, very difficult setup right now, using a balanced setup, unfortunately, by accident. There's nothing we can do. We just have to drive the event. Luckily for them, it is a sprint race event, so you do have an opportunity to apply a new setup on once the lobby has been restarted. That Red Bull is very close to the back of the Ferrari. They're going to have a look to the inside line, but back off immediately. It's not worth losing the DRS at this point of the Grand Prix. Peanuts is trying to hold on to the back of their teammate. They should be quicker on these final few moments as well. Will they be able to use that to their advantage? We've got half a second between Nifo and Devon Young, and we've got Charlie not very patiently waiting behind. That being said, if you look at the onboard, Nifo wasn't really that far away at all, and it didn't really look like much of a concern at all. It just seems to be from the third angle view, the gaps are a lot bigger. 5/10 is the gap right now. We'll see that drop a little bit, but not a massive amount as no one's really pushing at this stage. Even though it's a sprint race, there are some tactics that these guys have to try and follow. 1.8 seconds to the cars ahead. Zingy can't quite get there, but they are so close. Trying to find a little bit more around Silverstone, a circuit like this where DRS is evenly spread out, and it's just incredibly difficult to find any way to catch up to a car ahead that is in a train. And Sir Maxon is just being carefully brought along in this battle and being helped massively from the likes of the cars behind who don't have those default setups on. Heisler trying to make progress on Eagle Pro. Eagle's on the outside line, still trying to hold on. DRS available. Ticey, who was up the top, now dropped down. The order is going to try and make a move on the Serbian, and they do so. And now they're going to try and get ahead of their fellow countrymen as well. But no, it is Igor back to the inside line to give a bit more of a battle, but it will end there on the exit of turn 7, 8. Into 9, Copse Corner, the famous one. Nothing will happen. Everything will stay the same. But what a disappointing moment there for Ticey going off the circuit. I think he's been able to hold on to P4, but maybe not for long in this train. It's Nifo who wants to try and stay in that P2 spot, looking slightly to the inside of Devon Young to try and make sure that Charlie doesn't find a way through, but also not trying to spook the Red Bull and lose them time, because if they lose them time, then they risk all losing positions at the end. We're on lap 7 out of 9. We've got 2 more to go, 3 more to go in this Grand Prix. Just under 3 now as we go through the first few corners, and you can see that Mercedes is incredibly quick on this medium tyre. Devon Young just trying to save these at the moment, save the battery. It's really pace management. It's a bit of a mistake there for Nifo, and it's going to be Charlie not having a second invitation. They want to go for that immediately, but Nifo is not going to let that one go easy, and that is a brilliant defense threat. They're using those tyres to their advantage. You can see a bit of an under rotation, it looked like, on the inside tyre. It wasn't enough. It was absolutely perfect, but on the exit, it's going to be Charlie trying to push again. It's going to be Copse Corner around the outside. It's going to be so close. It's going to be a move done. Absolutely awesome stuff there. Not where you'd expect to be overtaken. Charlie spotted that opportunity and made it work. Big respect for that one. DRS is now available once again, but will Nifo try and use the energy that they just had before to go back in front to P2? The inside line is going to not be theirs as they back out and let things happen. They know that their tyres are going to be better, but they still want to try and be ahead. They're going to have to back off into the chicane here as they try to fight. Zingy isn't able to catch, though, as these guys are still in the DRS train. Even if they are going side by side, they're getting brought along by the Brit, who is leading their home Grand Prix here in the sprint. The home sprint race, I should say, not the Grand Prix just yet. Hold your horses on that one. Zingy 1.6 seconds away. They are closing up as the cars ahead do fight, and they could be fighting more, so they definitely have to keep their foot in and not give up. Sir Maxon holding on massively. Really good effort from them. It is going to be Charlie and Nifo continuing to switch positions as Devon Young is bunching up the pack, trying to save that battery to give it their best chance in the final moments. It's still side by side with Nifo and Charlie, who are squabbling for that position. But in the meantime, Zingy has been gaining and gaining. Is it going to be enough to find an opportunity to maybe get a few positions in the very end of this race? It would be absolutely incredible, a big upset if that was to happen. It's Devon Young who leads the way as they go down the hanger straight on the penultimate lap. It's going to be Nifo going in front. They're going in front for this one. They're hoping that the mediums will work. They're hoping that they've caught everybody off guard, maybe as sitting ducks. Is it going to be the right call? It definitely could be. If they just keep it clean, it will be possibly job done. Devon Young, it's their chance to try and get a victory. It's going to be Ticey retiring from this one. Unfortunately, no safety car will be deployed. Devon Young is now in the lead as Nifo goes down the order. And what happened there? I completely missed it. I was looking at the mini-map for the retirement. Nifo's gone down at the exit of turn 1. What a place to lose the car. Was that a technical difficulty with their wheel? It's now a 1-2 situation for Devon and Charlie on the same tyre with no pressure from behind. Who is going to make it the win in the sprint? The first sprint of the season. Devon Young looks to try and take victory once again for a while in LSI. Charlie wants to try and get another victory this season. It wouldn't be a Grand Prix, but it would be at least more points to their name, to their championship over their rival. Devon Young has an advantage, has half a second. Charlie will have the run. They'll have DRS and a lot of ERS to use on this straight, but I don't know if it'll be enough. Devon's run out of battery. It might be enough. On the inside to the outside. Devon goes defensive, but surely they can't hold the advantage. Charlie is doing a phenomenal job. They go off circuit slightly. It brings Devon back into it. They're side by side into the final chicane. The inside line is available. The Red Bull's ahead, and they win. Devon Young wins in Great Britain. The sprint race is theirs. Zingy to P3 after all of that. A phenomenal job. Semaxon holds on despite the setup difficulties, and it's Tom Robb in P5. Peanuts, the medium tyre runner, the lead medium tyre runner, in P6. That medium tyre did not seem to be the call in the end, maybe. Wow, what a race that was. A preview for what's to come in a few moments' time after the main qualifying session that we will see after this. The results are going to be on your screen. Devon Young wins in LSI once again. Charlie in P2 and Zingy in P3. That's the rest of the grid with Semaxon, Tom Robb, Peanuts, Heischler, Igor, Nifo, Verfbecken and Ticey DNFing earlier on. We move on to the race director. We'll see you in a bit for qualifying. Alright, are you ready for the big one? Well, qualifying's up first actually, so let's get that one done with. So Maxon topping the times by 2/10 currently, looking good, but immediately taken away by Heischler. I should say, welcome back Heischler, brilliant to see you again, having a race away after some unfortunate circumstances, and now they are definitely showing that they can bring the pace back up nice and quickly. They haven't forgotten the top spot, taking 2 pole positions so far this season, beaten only by Sir Maxon, who has taken 3, 2 in a row of course with Australia and Saudi, the other one in Singapore. Zingy is the only other driver to have taken a pole position this season. There's a couple of yellows out on track as we've got a few cars moving out the way of one another. Now, just to look at the grid, we do have Igor and Ticey in the wrong cars. We see Frantic join us here in qualifying, which is great to see. They will be scoring points. Frantic for the reserve driver status. We will see Igor score points for Aston Martin, and we will see Ticey score points for Williams. Sir Maxon immediately taking that one back, and with a little bit of wiggle room just to add as well. Lovely stuff there from them. We've got a couple more cars on laps. Looks like Charlie maybe isn't on a lap at this point. We've got Zingy, who is, and that's a 26.150 for the Scotsman there, staying in P4. And it's their teammate who comes out of Chapel and is improving by a bit. They're just trying to get a bit more of a gap to the cars behind. Very close lap times with Tom Robb right behind at the moment. They need to find a little bit more time in these final corners as we get Tom going up to P5 with a 0.4. If Nifo can complete this lap, it would be an improvement ahead of the Red Bull to take the position back. And there it is, a 0.298. Still a little way from their teammate, about 1.5 tenths, but not too far. They can still find a little bit more. We've got more time in this session, of course, much more time in this session for Track Evolution. And I am going to assume we're going to see Devon Young and Tom work together to give a bit of a slipstream effect right here, quite possibly. We've got Tom just up in front. We've got Devon Young in P9 at the moment with a 26.7 on that soft tyre. Out of... Is that them? They're going to get a bit of a tow from the car ahead, as Tom will take them through Copse Corner and all the way to Maggots and Beckett's. Surely they're going to back out through Maggots and Beckett's, and they do so. Devon will have gained a little bit of lap time from that if they can keep it clean. Down to 5th gear as they encountered a bit of understeer, but still a 4/10 improvement is a nice one. That'll be a 0.3 that they're looking for, trying to compete here with Nifo to actually displace Tom himself. Will they get to Nifo? Will they find a little bit more in these final corners? Will they be able to find Zingy? We've got Verf up to P6 with a brilliant lap so far. Still more time again, as I said, but there goes Devon Young across the line. P8 only, losing 2 tenths there in the final sector, and just marginally behind Tom Robb, their teammate. That is an interesting one. That's also 2 lap-old soft tyres there for Devon, so that's not going to help you when you get to the end of the lap and your tyres do start to really scrub off. So maybe a bit of a lesson learnt right there. So far not going so well in qualifying for the Red Bulls. So Maxon is loving life at the top, and we of course see Heischler, Charlie to P3, Zingy ahead of his teammate, but it's a Mercedes 4.5. They are close together with one another. And then we have Tom Robb, Devon Young, Igor, Peanuts, Becken and Frantic returning as a reserve driver. The 2 reserves at the back of the pack so far. The 3rd reserve is in P6 as they make their way back to the pit lane after a lovely lap indeed, putting themselves in a brilliant position to start this race. Now I'm really excited to see what the strategy is going to look like for this event. It's going to be absolutely awesome. We've got intermediate conditions at the start of this race. We're going to be running probably on inters for a while, and then we're going to go on to the slicks. We're going to get exactly the same conditions as we had last season in the final round. It's going to be a very interesting one, and I can't wait to see it. That would maybe suggest that we're going to be seeing some similar lap times that we did last season, quite possibly. The pole time last season was a 25.520 from Taras Korsman, who reserved that race but unfortunately had technical difficulties. That's an interesting one. As we speak, technical difficulties will hit us. Hopefully we can join back. We'll be back in a second. Thank you very much, everyone, for waiting. It's been a bit of a long one, but we are ready to go in a few moments. We're just lining up on the grid and getting everything ready. We'll see you in a bit. Here we go. Ready? Hold. Go! Who's going to get it into turn one? We're away, and Sir Maxon with pole position makes it a clean one, and it's Heischler, P2 on the grid from P3 last season. They won up themselves, and they're looking very, very good. We are looking at the grid now as we go through. We do miss Ticey out of this race, but we do see Zingy making progress on Charlie. The inside line at turn 4 through to 5. They're nicely ahead, and they secure that position. Verf in P4 goes down to P7 off the start. Unfortunately, a brilliant effort will not be rewarded from qualifying, and they do get pressurized, or they do get overtaken by Devon Young on the outside, who's trying to make progress after missing out on their final run. Many drivers missing out on their final runs in qualifying, including that of the pole sitter, who has still managed to make it work and now is 6/10 ahead. And it's Zingy putting the pressure on Heischler, wanting to find a way through. They go wide at turn 9, and they've got to be careful that they don't do that too many times. They could get themselves a warning. They could get themselves in big trouble. The tyres are inters. We don't need to look at that. We're going to put it back to no data. We don't need to get that until we get to the pit stop section, which could be a lot later into this Grand Prix. Would we see a double intermediate strategy here in Silverstone with the conditions that we've got? We've got light rain, intermediate conditions, then we go to overcast, then we go to light cloud towards the end. We settle into this race as we're about to start lap 2 of 26. And looking at the progress, we will look at the details, as it's Zingy making 2 positions off the start. It's Charlie going down 1. It is an improvement for Nifo. 2 positions gained here for Devon Young. We also see Verf drop down 3 after that qualifying, of course. There's a bit of a gap between Peanuts and Verf in the end. All of these cars are very close to one another. Peanuts got to find a little bit more. Finding a little bit more, though, is Zingy. The inside line sliding through the corner, losing their run. Will they try try and go again. They're trying, that's for sure, on the energy. They will get a bit of momentum for the inside. They will, and they're going to make it work nicely. Heischler will not be able to get the job done, and Zingy closes the door to make sure there is no invitation to the inside line once again. They try and make a bit of progress on Sir Max on 7 tenths behind, but not much battery to use after they've gone on the attack there. And this is the Ferrari's chance to continue to break away in these conditions. A brilliant effort, not feeling too well in this race, but still performing at an incredible rate, trying to maybe get a victory once again in LSI. They took victory in Australia, but they missed out in Saudi Arabia with connection issues. They lead once again, and now they're going to try and hope that fortune goes their way this time. And that is Heischler going very close to track limits at Stowe Corner. They managed to stay away from it. We've got changes. We've got Beckham dropping down behind Tom Robb at the back of the pack, but still close to the pack. Everyone is very close to one another. We do have Igor, who's 1.5 seconds away from Frantic, now back into the Aston Martin as they get into the lobby for this one. And then we have Frantic. We've got Peanuts, who's about 1 second behind Verf. Other than that, everyone is very close. That being said, Sir Maxon continues on the charge. Look at the pack that we've got up in front. They can see Zingy trying to make that progress on track, but it's not easy. They have in the meantime found about 2 tenths to the Polish driver, the championship rival. Currently 4 points ahead of the Scotsman, trying to make it 8 points in this scenario. If that switches, if it is a P1 to Zingy and a P2 to Sir Maxon, they will be exactly level on points. Of course, penalties being applied as of the Italian Grand Prix. Other than that, everything should stay the same, and I don't think we'd see a change in points for either of these drivers. So it would be level going into the halfway point of the season and going to round 8 to all the way to 14. Effectively on 0 points against each other. Now, half a second, they've definitely made some good progress and managed to find a rhythm, so very good effort from Zingy to keep this race alive for P1. You can see Sir Maxon just drifting round Stowe on the exit. It looks really animated, but they're trying to push to the absolute limit, find everything they can. They're currently doing a pretty good job of it. Struggling for traction. Zingy, not so much, finds a brilliant amount of traction on the exit of the final few corners, takes the fastest lap in the meantime, and now they're going to maybe try and look at making a move sooner rather than later. And that could be crucial. Being ahead in the wet conditions is an absolute godsend. You'll be really, really happy with leading the Grand Prix, and Sir Maxon knows that they have a severe advantage, and Zingy's not going to have really much of a chance of getting through. That being said, Zingy did have a brilliant opportunity at getting through on Heischler, and they made it work. They executed it very, very nicely. Now they're just continuing to apply that pressure. You can see they're squeezing the gap like a lemon almost, and trying to juice everything they can out of it, trying to juice everything they can out of that Ferrari to make them make a mistake, but it's just not working. Lap 4 of the 26. We've got a long way to go in this Grand Prix, and we've got Heischler making a bit of a comeback here as they're bunching up, and the McLaren driver could spot an opportunity to go for something. They're going to use the battery to put the pressure on the Mercedes. The Mercedes is going to have to go on the attack on the Ferrari, and it's going to be the McLaren trying to have a go as well, trying to keep the momentum, going wide as Sir Maxon to leave the space. Sir Maxon maybe going to look at letting the position go. They do eventually, but very late on so, and it is going to be Heischel not finding an opportunity, and Sir Maxon probably wanting that to happen. They realised that Zingy was coming through, and they were just going to accept it and then hope that everything went okay and stay in P2. They do so. Maybe they were having a look and having a hope of staying in that P1 spot, but they did back out at a very late moment, to be honest. Charlie is now bunched right up here. As these guys fall, everybody is bunched back up right behind. We've got Devon Young going for that fastest lap as they're ahead of Nifo. Verve has dropped back, unfortunately, goes over track limits. Got to be careful with that one. on lap 5 out of 26. As I said, we've got a long way to go. We're about a fifth into this race, more or less. Zingy, oh, a bit over the grass right there. That's going to really struggle them with that run, with the traction. A bit of grass on the tyre in the wet conditions is not going to help you. Look at the circuit. It's basically dry, but it is going to be wet conditions for a very long time. And with the game that we have at the moment in 2025, it's virtually impossible to tell what tyre you need to be on in these conditions based on visual aspects. So we're just going to have to wait for somebody to make a pit stop and make that call and see if it's correct. It's going to be a call for Heichler to try and make a move. The outside, the inside. It's now Charlie having a look, but not sticking the move. It's wide for Heichler, and it is through for the Racing Bull. And now they definitely want to have a look at trying to make a move on their fellow countryman. Oh, it's going to be Heichler all over the place as they go deep, make contact with the RB in front, lose their front wing and turn across into Devon. Hopefully Devon doesn't have any damage. Didn't quite get to see what was going on there, so I can't comment too much, but it didn't look ideal. And it's going to be Devon Young trying to find a way through sooner rather than later. They don't go for the move. Heichler's only going to be losing time. Niffo trying to force Devon into making progress sooner rather than later, because they don't want to be sat behind that McLaren by the time DRS kicks in, and ERS is going to have to be used surely by Devon to go for the send into the next corner. Turn 6 is theirs. It's not going to be Heichler's. They will get the performance. Will they get it through the following corner into 7 and on the exit? Will they be ahead by the time we get to 8? It's going to be Niffo to the outside trying to have a go on Heichler himself. Doesn't quite get there. Is going to use a bit of performance in a straight line to have a look around the outside of Copse Corner. Will they stay on track? It's not going to happen. Heichler's gone off track as well. I think Niffo's going to argue that they weren't, either of them weren't on track, so they will take that position. And I think maybe, just maybe, that would be fair. If neither driver stayed on track, it's a bit of a different one. If Heichler had stayed on track and he still went off the circuit and made the move to Niffo, then it would have been a bit more complicated. It's going to be a question. It's going to be a big old question. And that is a gap now between Devon Young and Charlie. It once again releases a top 3, as we saw earlier on in the sprint before Niffo encountered technical difficulties in the sprint race that caused them to lose that car and drop all the way to the back despite fighting for the victory. And now we see Frantic and Tomrod both into the pit lane, making that call, making the very important call to try and get some different tyres on. I believe they're both going on to the hards. We will get the tyre situation up on the screen now. Hards to the end, they're hoping. Is it going to be any good? Oh, it didn't look very good on the traction. It still doesn't look very good on the traction. And they're just slipping and sliding. We haven't had the call from race control that DRS is available. And you can see how slow those tyres are, despite the visuals looking like it's completely dry. And those tyres, those intermediate tyres looking absolutely treacherous with the temperature. It's still not going to work out. And you know that the Scotsman is waiting for that call. He's waiting for the race director to tell him DRS is available, the track is now officially dry, and you can go into the pit lane for that slick tyre. There's a fastest lap as everyone's pushing despite being on the slower tyre or on the worn tyres. The track is getting so dry that it's working out quite nicely. It's the medium tyre here for Igapro and Heichler. Maybe they know something that Frantic and Tom don't. Of course, they've gone later on, and it is going to be a new front wing there for Heichler. That's why they've dropped behind the Aston. No, it's Heichler retiring from the session as they disconnect in the pit lane. I think that was maybe a voluntary retirement there, unfortunately. I don't quite know what was going on there, but that is Heischler out of this Grand Prix, and they will not finish. They will not score any points from getting a P2 last season. They will not be able to replicate that from the qualifying position that they had earlier on, in a brilliant position in the opening laps, getting a bit of damage, still being in this race very much so. That is their race done, and we get the first retirement of the evening, hopefully the last. Tom Robb is P11 at the back at the moment. As I said, that's the medium tyre there for Igor, but it doesn't seem to be a very warm tyre as they're losing time to Frantic on the traction. However, they seem to get it, but no, that tyre is much warmer there for Frantic, and they will go through, just sliding through the circuit, not being able to find any grip. Oh, that looks like a treacherous ride right there. Way too early. But still, the Inters go faster, and it's Sir Maxon catching up nicely to Zingy, going fastest. It's Charlie losing the DRS range. Nifo trying to see if they can make some progress, but once again fighting with Devon Young for the second weekend in a row and not having DRS 3 seconds away. They need to try and find something. The strategy calls can be crucial, however. If they make that right call, it could be, it just maybe could be the ability to get them back into the DRS train. Verf is right behind as well. Devon just sliding all over the place on these tyres. You can see how treacherous these Inters are, but it is even more difficult to be driving on a set of slick tyres, that's for sure. Igor goes back into the pit lane. Are they going back onto a set of intermediate tyres? They go for a new front wing. That's what they're looking for here. They go for a second set of mediums, and they're hoping that the track gets drier before it looks like they may get lapped. Of course, they will be able to continue to the end. They should be able to continue to the end around Silverstone on a medium tyre. It wouldn't be easy, but it won't be impossible. Of course, Frantic and Tom Robb will be good to go to the end as well, but that being said, when you've got cold tyres, you tend to spin the wheels up a bit more, and you do wear down your compounds a little bit more than you would like. It's going to be Nifo and Devon Young into the pit lane, with Sir Matson going for another fastest lap, and Verf follows on as well. That's an interesting one, because there you go, there's the DRS enabled, and they've spotted that to perfection, and they'll get half a lap or so with an extreme advantage ahead of all of those that stayed out and continued. Charlie, Sir Maxon and Zingy will lose a big gap. Is it going to be that 3 seconds that we're looking for? Will Sir Maxon try and fight Zingy before they get to the pit lane? That's going to be crucial as well. DRS will be available. If it's a clean overtake, then it's absolutely fine. But if it's not, if they go side by side and squabble, then that could be the difference between Devon Young and Nifo getting out ahead of the leaders. It's going to be, a big mistake for Becken on the pit lane exit. Hopefully they don't have any damage. They don't. They've just got a bit of a yellow flag moment right there. Igapro, 32 seconds back, unfortunately, after making that extra pit stop. They're hoping that their race can come back a little bit later on. Zingy and Sir Maxon lead the way, and I don't think they'll get an overtake done, will Sir Maxon? Are they going to still go for it? They don't. They back off and they try and maximize the performance for their race as they go into the pit lane, and they hope that they can stay ahead, trying to brake as late as you can as you go into the pit lane without losing too much grip. And we'll see Peanuts staying out on the intermediate as they don't follow their teammate. And despite being multiple seconds behind and being able to do that double stack, they still continue on their way. Medium tyres for everybody. It will be the clear option for everybody at this stage. Devon Young and Nifo just right here, going through the final chicane. Verf is on that hard tyre. Maybe they can come back later. Do not count them out of this Grand Prix. But there you go. Nifo comes out into turn 1, and they're going to be gaining massively. Their tyres are going to be nice and warm as well. Devon Young isn't going to challenge, and these guys are going to continue to try to work together. And look at the gap that they've just gained, about 1.5 seconds to the cars ahead. They need to find a little bit more, because that DRS will be very, very useful. Devon Young is going to find their way through. They're going to have to work together. He goes to the racing line. They get the slingshot done. They get a bit of oversteer, so they're going to lose some time for that one. If they can find it again, that'll be great. Remember though, there's no DRS to the cars ahead, so this is pure pace. Devon and Nifo have crunch time. They have to make this work. They have to make this warmer tyre work. The cold tyres there for Charlie. Absolutely treacherous. That DRS should be inevitable for the cars behind. And I think they may have just got it. Let's watch the rear wing of the Red Bull here as they go through Chapel on the exit. DRS range, there it is. Nifo goes off the circuit a lot right there. Luckily not getting a penalty, and they will stay where they are on track and in a straight line. It's going to be Peanuts into the pit lane. I just wanted to double check. They don't have a puncture, do they? I don't think they do. They stay in good condition and into the pit lane. Zingy will regain the lead of the Grand Prix for the first time since the pit stops. It's going to be Devon Young with the fastest lap. It's going to be Devon Young with DRS. It's going to be Nifo dragged along with them as well. It's going to be a huge gap to Verf, who is 5 seconds behind, losing more time as expected on a very different compound that is going to be even colder and harder, no pun intended, to deal with. Now Devon Young and Charlie have to work together as Nifo lost that position trying to work together with Devon. They're probably hoping that it would have been the other way round and they would have been in between Charlie and Devon, but they're not. It's the way it goes. In the meantime, Igor has got that fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Getting those tyres up to temperature as they take a long time to warm up. We really see quite an early slick tyre run compared to what we expected, to be honest. In the meantime, Charlie's done a phenomenal job to get back within DRS range of Samaxon, and now they'll be training a lot and they will be able to save, they'll be able to work together, all of these cars, to catch Zingy. And that being said, he goes and takes the fastest lap. That's immediately beaten by Charlie, followed by Nifo. Let's have a look at the fastest laps right there to see the difference. 0.5, and then, wow, Nifo by half a second beat Zingy's lap time right there. That's how fast these cars are going compared to the Scotsman. Absolutely extraordinary lap times between these guys. I don't know if Zingy really stands much of a chance here. It's going to be a very, very difficult one. That being said, Devon Young, 9/10 away. They've got to be careful. They could lose the advantage that they had earlier on pretty quickly. Charlie and Samax on 2.1 seconds behind. Their best interest is to catch up to Zingy collectively and then fight one another. These guys have been fighting tooth and nail with one another in the championship so far. As I said, 24 points behind. Charlie's still got a lot to catch up, but they can definitely do it. They're making that progress. They're pushing on the exit of Chapel. They're not going to get the DRS run. They are going to get the DRS run into Stowe, and they're going to let that one happen. It's going to be Nifo allowed to pass Devon Young as well, as they have to try and work together in a train to catch up to the Ferrari and the RB, and they currently are on the cusp of losing DRS, but I believe they can do it. I believe they can catch back up. 0.9 of a second now as Charlie makes it even better for their chances of getting back into the lead of this Grand Prix. 1.9 seconds, and unfortunately we do see Nifo lose DRS range from the cars in front. Devon and their efforts were not enough, and they've now got no battery in that car to make any progress once again, defending to the inside just to allow the Red Bull to go through as they work together and just try and eke everything out they can with this train, hoping that the cars ahead will fight. And I was going to say they probably will fight at some point so they can continue and not give up. But that being said, Zingy has just gone and brought it back up to 2 seconds just for a few moments. And that is absolutely huge. It means Sir Maxon and Charlie have to work together for longer. They have to work harder than ever. And it means that they will not be slowing down anytime soon. It will mean that Devon Young and Nifo won't be able to catch up to the pack if they do bunch up and fight. In the meantime, Nifo has got himself a 3-second time penalty, the first 3-second time penalty of the event. 14 out of lap 14 out of 26, and Zingy goes to improve further. And as the track gets drier and drier, Zingy only gets quicker and quicker. 0.2 now into the 2-second margin, and they've brought it back up further and further. We'll go back to the fastest laps to look at what we have, and it's by 1/10 of a second ahead of the RB is Zingy's lap time so far. And that's a switch as Sir Maxon goes ahead of the RB. It's Nifo ahead of Devon Young as they continue to try and push on with one another, the two trains that we have right here. And we're going to have a quick look at Peanuts and Verf. They will be fighting potentially soon as Peanuts tries to make these fresher medium tyres, the freshest on the grid, work against the hard tyres that are going to be incredibly difficult to drive on. And this medium tyre should have a lot of longevity around the circuit of Silverstone. It should be a quite nice battle. Devon Young and Nifo switch positions once again. We could see Frantic and Beckon fight as well, maybe in the closing stages of this Grand Prix. Peanuts can see the DRS range is just right there. They need to find a little bit more, and then they will be right in it for some extra points in their race. 8 points would be amazing for Ferrari. Ferrari lost a big advantage from last time around. 15 to 17 points lead going into Saudi Arabia. They left Saudi Arabia with a 4-point lead. So a big difficulty right there, as it was a Mercedes 1-2. Ferrari 5-6 with Peanuts getting the fastest lap in 6th place. And they need to try and find a bit more if they do want to make it work against the Mercedes team. Zingy currently leading this Grand Prix. That would be 4 points ahead of Sir Maxon, but then of course 4 points ahead of Peanuts is Nifo. So looking at getting 8 points plus actually 9 if Zingy is able to hold on to the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. That being said, I think Igor will be looking for that one if they want to, if their race doesn't get any better from this stage onwards. Peanuts has done a very good job to get that DRS though of Verf, and will be looking to try and find his way through very soon. We'll see what they can do. We're expecting an overtake here at some point. It's the Sauber who's under pressure. It's the DRS available for the Ferrari. It's the inside line. It's not a move attempt here into the Wellington straight. So they're going for the hangar straight. They're looking for a bit more of a tactical move, trying to break away in the end of the third sector and in the start of the first sector to give them a bit of an advantage. It's so difficult to break away around the circuit like this. So far, we see the top two almost matching pace. Charlie, of course, helping Sir Maxon to do so against the Scotsman. Zingy having a massive advantage with that 2 seconds up front at the moment. Lap 17 out of 26. In the meantime, Peanuts hasn't been able to get close enough to catch up here to the Sauber, and they'll have to go again another time. In the meantime, we've seen a fastest lap there from Charlie. Looking at that, shall we? A 28.786 from Zingy earlier on. A 7.63 from Sir Maxon, who went faster than the Scotsman, but it's a 7.57 that we see from the RB, making it a massive advantage, even more so now. We go back here as Eagles had a bit of a mistake. They lost, what was that? About 5 seconds, 5-7 seconds more or less. And just struggling on the exit of turn 7, trying to stay in this race. It's a really unfortunate one. You can't blame them with the game issues that you get with the weather. If you don't know what you're looking at, if you don't know why the game is doing what it's doing, then it's just incredibly difficult to actually make a decision. It's on the exit of turn 7 as well that we will see Peanuts go for the move on Verf. Verf will have an opportunity to get back ahead, and I have to be honest, they might want to try and do it. Whether they will though, I don't quite know. Maybe they are happy that Peanuts will stay ahead so they can relax in this race and watch behind as they continue. They catch up a lot, but not enough. They're not going to push to the maximum here. Behind them is Becken in P8, another Swedish driver, currently 9 seconds away. 4 seconds behind them is Frantic, and they are ahead of Tom. Frantic wasn't able to make that move on Becken in the end, making a mistake, I think, and dropping back a little bit. Tom's going to try and see if they can catch up to the Alpine driver. It's Zingy, though, who's lost a few tenths now, about 4 to Sir Maxon and Charlie. We continue to see Nifo and Devon Young not giving up in this race. 4.5 seconds away from Charlie now. That's absolutely extraordinary stuff from Sir Maxon and Charlie, working together massively. Just to try and catch up to the Scotsman, and they're doing everything they can. You can't blame them. It's their best interest to try and take the victory for themselves. But before you get to the final stages, the final few laps for a standoff, you have to work together to make it work. And you're going to see exactly this here with Devon Young and Nifo. But Devon not going for the move this time around, as it didn't make sense. He didn't gain the momentum that he needed to really safely make the overtake without losing time. And yes, they've already lost a lot of time to the cars in front, but they still have the opportunity. They still may as well fight here. They might as well do it. And for Mercedes to try and get Devon Young to finish ahead of Charlie and Sir Maxon, if anything would happen, well, Nifo's got that time penalty. It would be their best interest to try and get Devon Young to finish ahead of the Ferrari car. It's going to be Igor having another issue at turn 7. Just more problems, unfortunately. Go and check on their front wing. That's not them. That's Igor there. Their front wing is absolutely fine. We won't see a virtual safety car be deployed. We will see, though, another 4 tenths being taken out of Zingy's lead as the DRS train is working quite nicely. Charlie getting ahead of Sir Maxon, and you can just see that run, and now saving that battery, they can use it to catch up to the Scotsman, and it's now only 0.1 of a second. They're hoping to get that DRS already by the time we get to lap 21. And Sir Maxon is going to make that happen. Definitely going to make that happen. Gaining a huge advantage with the slingshot. You'll see now, 0.8 seconds. Absolutely incredible stuff. Devon Young hoping now this is their chance. The cars ahead could fight and everything could change Of course, there's a 5-second gap that they've got to try and catch, so the cars ahead can afford to fight a little bit and still be safe from the cars behind. But just maybe, just a little bit, and they might be able to get some good momentum. Maybe catch the top 3 off, and it could be a pretty good opportunity to get back into this race. In the meantime, we actually do see Frantic and Tom Rob close together, as Frantic is in P10 behind Tom at this point in the race after maybe another issue, I don't quite know, but Tom is going to try and stay ahead half a second. However, DRS is not going to be easy for them to escape, and this is for that final well, maybe 1 or 2 points actually. It's going to be Verf and Peanuts switching positions as well as they continue their race but wait for the final laps, really preparing for these final laps to really go for their fight towards the end. Becken currently on a very good path to try and get some points in P8. Time penalty 3 seconds for everyone that does have one. But we're going to go back to the top 3 as they're incredibly close. Look at that train. It's been brought back together. It's made Zingy's life very, very complicated. It's given Sir Maxon and Charlie another opportunity to try and have a go. Charlie, well, they're going to hope that they can finish in P1 and hope that Zingy finishes P2 and Sir Maxon P3. That gives them the best chance of leading the Drivers' Championship in the final stages of this season and maybe taking that victory. 24 points behind, a 4-point advantage on either of the drivers would be very, very nice, and a 6-point advantage on one of the two. Zingy's trying to catch up and be level with Sir Maxon. Sir Maxon is trying to extend their championship lead. However will this go, I don't know. We're going to look once again at the fastest lap, and Charlie takes it. So if this stays as it is, and Zingy was to finish ahead of Sir Maxon, they would be level going into the next half of the season. As we take a week break, it's going to be Charlie putting the pressure on their countrymen to make a move. They were looking to the side of them to say, hey, go for it, otherwise I will. I'm going to pressurize you into doing something. Sir Maxon, 2 tenths behind. Are they going to lose a position to Zingy? Charlie, they're going to have to go on the attack. Zingy goes defensive. They're going to try and back up maybe, just stay in P2. They don't mind going to P2. They either want to be first or second, but not third. Charlie will stay where they are. It's Zingy on a very awkward line on the exit off the penultimate corner. They have to get the traction down as they struggle to do so. And Sir Maxon manages to avoid any issues. They now have an opportunity to get ahead. Zingy trying to back up and save the DRS as they get to the closing stages of the Grand Prix. The ERS, I should say, really. That ERS is going to be crucial, and they can save it. They are the lead car. They manage the pace. Egapro gets another 3 seconds. In the meantime, we go back to the timing sheets as we see Sir Maxon lead the Grand Prix for the first time since their pole position earlier on. As of course we saw Zingy lead the way for a fair few laps. It's Verf and Peanuts continuing to switch positions. It's Tom Rob and Frantic incredibly close to one another. Tom, DRS will be available. Will they go for the move here on the Wellington Straight with just a few laps to go? They're going to have to decide where they stand against one another. And it's going to be a very slow, straight line speed. Alpine, side by side with the Red Bull, who loses the car on their own and will drop back and secure a P10 as it allows Frantic to get there. It's going to be Stowe Corner. Absolutely incredible stuff right here. The final chicane will come about. Zingy's trying to stick his nose in to cause more havoc between the two drivers in front of them. And they're going to be forced to go side by side through the entirety of the final chicane, as we are coming up to potentially a championship shake-up. Is it going to happen? I don't quite know. Charlie is looking for their 3rd victory this season. Oh, and Zingy on the inside line making contact with the rear end of the RB. Luckily, no one is injured. Charlie and Zingy, the only drivers to take multiple victories this season. Maxon took their first victory of the season in Australia despite being classed as first. When they cross the line in Zandvoort, they're going to try and go for number 2 here to match the drivers around them. They're boxing in to try and stay P2 is Zingy. And it's just not working out. They need to try and continue this aggression. They're continuing it. Indeed. Absolutely incredible. And Maxon's going to drop down as they're leaving absolutely minimal room. DRS is still available for both drivers. Charlie's trying to break away. It's very close, but it's just not going to be enough here. Maxon is still in this race. The penultimate lap of the Grand Prix is here. And these guys are battling so hard as what I said might just come true. Devon Young is at the back of this pack now. 2 seconds away only from 5 seconds earlier on. Absolutely incredible. And Nifo is going to try and help him out. Try and allow him to catch up. Not finish ahead of Zingy, but allow him to catch up to Maxon. And they will continue to DRS train. They've not got long to try and make this work. Maxon has not got long to try and get ahead of both of these cars. Charlie has got a lot of thinking to do to try and stay ahead. Zingy is in a strong position in P2. We saw Devon Young win the sprint. We've got not too long to see who's going to win the main race. It's Maxon making it P2 with a brilliant move to Stowe. Now they've got the inside line and they stay ahead of the Mercedes. DRS will be theirs on the final lap against Charlie. They've got to find a little bit more to try and get this one. Their second victory is on the cards. It's going to be so tough. Charlie wants to try and find a way to make this work. Will they be able to make enough of a gap? They may do as they continue to fight behind. And Zingy goes for a late lunge and a phenomenal lunge at that. 8/10 is now the gap though. Charlie has done a brilliant job to make that one work. And Maxon is going to fight it again. They know that they need to fight Zingy more than they need to fight Charlie. Charlie is going to break away as these guys continue to go side by side. Squirming on the exit is Zingy. Maxon is trying to have a go, but they slot him behind, and now they have the advantage all of a sudden. There's no DRS for Zingy unless they can find a little bit more through cops. Charlie is going a bit slower, but they've got a bit of battery to make this one work. And now Maxon, saving the battery, has the opportunity to get ahead and extend this championship lead against the man that they are trying to focus on. Zingy defending, but it's not going to be enough as they will be ahead. Stowe corner, the final chicane is here. Will Zingy have another opportunity? Will they send it back to the inside line? It's the outside that they're going to choose, and they are going to get there. Oh my days, absolutely incredible. Charlie wins the British Grand Prix. Maxon in P2 ahead of Zingy. It's Devon Young in P4 and it's Nifo in P5. Absolutely incredible stuff we've just seen there. Charlie takes their third win of the season, more than anyone else, and they definitely are making a statement, catching up nicely. 4 points, making it now only a 20-point gap to Maxon going into the second half of this season. Devon Young, P4, a brilliant result once again. Very consistent, scoring those points and staying in it. Nifo making do with what they could after a very tough race for them. Peanuts in P6, just ahead of Verf by the smallest of margins. And then we have Becken, frantic, and we see Tom in P10. looking to try and get that fastest lap as Igor is going to finish this Grand Prix in P11. Will Tom get that fastest lap? They will do so to add to Red Bull's tally in the Teams Championship. Tom actually getting equal points there to Frantic. In the end, wow, what a race. Charlie gets ahead once again. Zingy, he's going to be so disappointed with that one. Devon Young as well. 8 tenths away. Almost had it. Just not quite enough. They fought with everything they could. But ultimately, Charlie's 20 points behind. So Maxon's got to focus on fighting Zingy. They had to do what they had to do there. It's their best interest of staying ahead of the Mercedes rather than the RB. They thought it was going to be too difficult. They thought that the RB was just going to be overpowered and it's not worth fighting. They have to try and secure points over their closest rival at this stage of the championship at least. Charlie takes victory once again. Sir Max on P2, it's Zingy in P3, Devon Young to P4, Nifo, Peanuts, Verf in P7. We've got Beck and Frantic, Tom Rob, Eager Pro in P11, and DNFing earlier on was Heischler. That is that. The race director is on your screen now. It's going to be an interesting one for sure. Pretty short one actually compared to previous. Pit stop section is on your screen there. And we're going to sport the session results because, oh, never mind. I guess, yeah, no, we will. Awesome. Thank you very much. We'll see you in a bit for the post-race interviews. Hello everyone, welcome to the post-race interviews of the British Grand Prix. That was an absolutely crazy one. Tom, we start with you. Wet conditions to dry. It was a pretty tough one out
there. Can we just remove the red part of it? And completely ran for the rest of the season. I just hate the wet conditions. I don't know how to drive them. At some point today, I lost 3 seconds a lap, and it's just not my standard. My drive pace then was really, really good. It had nearly the same lap times as Devin had way further in front on older hard tires, without any kind of slipstream or DRS, which he had at least slightly sometimes. So that's just really annoying. And also looking at my sprint race, I tumbled down to 10th quite early, then managed up to get in to P5, and probably could have gotten P3 if I would have gotten past Peanuts a bit earlier. I felt like I had really, really good pace, could push quite a lot compared to the others, while still maintaining my tire wear. So the wet conditions just screwed me completely over. I knew from the beginning I probably have no chance then. So that was just really, really annoying. Also because it was showing that there's gonna be way more dry part of the race than wet parts. I didn't want to put on any rain setup, which in the end showed the benefits that dry setup was still better theoretically, but I'm just so crap in the rain it doesn't even matter.
It's a tough one for sure. It's a very unique in this game, and yeah, I'm sorry that it doesn't quite work out for you, but hopefully the next few races are dry. Hungary is the next one in 2 weeks' time. Do you like that? So
yeah, I feel like Hungary is a good track. I kind of like it, but there are like a few turns that are a bit annoying, especially the really slow chicane in the middle sector. Because you can, if you go too much over one of the curbs, you are just stuck with it and nearly spin or lose like extreme amount of time. And also the middle sector is kind of quite hard to stay on track, still be really, really fast and keep the grip. So that's gonna be a bit harder to handle. But I'm got a bit more time now, as you said, like 2 weeks time, so extra week of practice. So it should be all fine, just for me to be out of the DRS range after 3 laps because of some circumstance.
hopefully not. We'll pray. And thank you very much, Tom. Really good effort today. Well done on the fastest lap at the end there, and we'll see you in Hungary. And we move on to Peanuts. Peanuts, a nice little battle there with Verf in the end, and you managed to finish ahead of them. P6, are you happy with that?
Not at all. I went in with this whole thing very optimistic. Felt like there was good pace. Went on the wrong tires in the sprint. I just never felt like I had more grip than the rest of the guys. I just felt like from the beginning to the end, I was as quick compared to them. So the softs were, in my opinion, definitely the play. Then I let Tom Brainer beat me at the end because I was being stupid. I thought that my teammate had more ERS and would go for, I think it was Zingy. But then I had to kind of back out of it because he's in a championship fight and I don't want to fuck with that. I don't want to ruin everything. Sorry for swearing. No then during the qualifying, I'd kind of killed everything. I didn't feel confident at all. Like I said, I went in with too high expectations. And kind of got into my head. Just could not get a good lap down. And then in the race, it was better, but it was unfortunate that it was wet because I knew I had to run more of a dry setup. And I have quite low wings, which makes grip harder but better in the dries. And then the dry pace was good. I just there was no point in even trying to fight Verve until last lap, so I just stuck behind.
Yeah, that was a tough one, but looking at the one shot, you were right up there, definitely for the top spot, so a really good effort there. I don't think you were too optimistic. I think it was just a difficult one. It's a circuit that you really need to stay within the DRS range, and with the wet conditions, it just makes it so difficult to get that DRS range when the dry conditions do come about. You did a very good job. I don't think you should be disappointed with that one. Obviously, it's not what you wanted, but Hungary, it's a very, very different circuit. Do you like that circuit? Does it suit you a bit more? And, of course, if it's dry, are you happy with that?
Here's the thing: driving Hungary is very fun because it's super technical. I know my boy Simixon is quick around there. I think he's at like a top 100 lap or something. So from that point of view, it's a good track for him. So that's lovely. For me, when looking at the VRL race we did, I was off the pace. I did do a bad strategy, but I wasn't quicker than a lot of the competition. So most likely the worst race, or the most difficult race for me in the last few races, I think.
Fair enough. Well, usually the difficult ones are maybe sometimes the ones that go quite well. You've got 2 weeks to take a break, recharge, and come back. Thank you very much, Peanuts. Really good effort today, and that's not what you wanted, but you did a good job. I think you did a much better job than you think. So well done. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
And we move on to Devon Young. Devon, so close in the end. So close. A really good effort right there to bring that back. What do you think you're just missing today?
I don't think I'm missing anything. I think I prepared well, and I definitely had the pace to win. I definitely know that. I mean, I was keeping up easy at the start. The rain maybe was a little bit tricky, but obviously I had a good pit stop. Sort of figured out Tom sort of figured out when to for me to pit, and that went well. We caught back up to the next 3, and from that point I just knew it was going to be like maybe an easy sort of run to the end, just sticking with everyone. And then yeah, just sort of, I don't even know what to call it. Nifo just decided to throw his entire race away and took me with it. Sort of, he just burnt all his energy to get in front of me, and then just sat there with his deploy turned off. And then obviously we lost DRS. And then by the time I got past him, they were up the road, and I did as much as I could to catch up. But with the DRS, I couldn't do anything. And then with Nifo, you know, you would hope that maybe I can DRS train off of him, but he was just slow. He's just sat behind me the whole time, and every time he did get in front of me, he had no energy left. So I'm not sure what he was doing. I don't know if he just doesn't want to succeed. He just doesn't want to finish higher. Or he would just rather finish 5th, because obviously we were very easily going to stay in the DRS train. But yeah, that's, I don't know what to say. I don't want to sound like I'm moaning, even though I am. It's just annoying because I definitely had the pace, and obviously I won the sprint, and that proves something. So yeah, unfortunate. It's just hard to say. I can't even say there was a mistake from anyone. It was just, I'm not even sure what he was doing. But you know, I'm happy to win the sprint though. I'm definitely not looking past that. That was fun. But yeah, definitely just after that, I knew I had a bit of confidence, and I knew that I could definitely like have a good go at winning, which is maybe doesn't come too often in this game, just because I don't have any motivation to play. But obviously it's Silverstone, so I had a bit of motivation. So I don't know what to say really. But you know what, I am happy to win the sprint, and I think that's a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I completely forgot to mention that one. That was absolutely awesome. So really well done, and great to see you on the top step once again. And yeah, it's a shame that it wasn't for the big points, but you brought it back. It was an awesome effort. You didn't give in. Maybe the wrong calls were made somewhere from some drivers, but it is what it is, and you didn't give up. So that's what matters, and you gave yourself the best.
It was fun mostly.
And yeah, hopefully carrying that fun to Hungary. Good momentum. You've won a sprint. You've got a few podiums. The next step is the top step. Can you get there?
Hopefully. I mean, honestly, like for this race, I did maybe a combined like 5-6-ish hours, like fully, maybe a little bit less. So, which is a lot more than I usually do. So I think if I can just sort of have a bit of motivation to do that much, then I definitely know that each race I can have a chance. And it's not about being so much quicker than everyone that you make it easy, but you just need a chance, right? If you have a chance, if I have a chance at winning for the next 7 races or whatever, then I would hope that one of them or a few of them might end up as a win. So I just need to really find some motivation and really, yeah, just sort of dig deep and maybe learn a little bit more on the sort of meta of driving this game rather than just how I think it should be driven, if you know what I mean. I think I've sort of figured that out recently. Like, I just need to stop driving how I want it to feel and more how you just have to drive the cars and get on with it, you know. So I'm definitely gonna get my head down. There's still half of the season left, so I'm gonna push on and see what I can do.
Awesome. I can't wait. That sounds good. And yeah, you have to just deal with what you're given, unfortunately. And
yeah, exactly.
It's a good realization to have. Hopefully it goes well for you there. I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to say something, but I can't remember now.
You're gonna say you love me. That was probably
maybe not.
Okay.
That's what I was going to say. 2 weeks. You've got 2 weeks to practice now, so you can spread it out a little bit more.
Yeah.
So yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, I
can't wait.
don't have much time at college as well, so I've definitely got a lot of time on my hands. So we'll see what happens.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Devon.
Cool.
Really good effort today, and we'll see you next
Cheers,
time.
Aaron.
And we move on to Charlie. Charlie, congratulations. You are the only driver to have 3 victories this season. That's absolutely awesome. 4 points gained on Samaxon. It's coming down. The gap is coming down, definitely. Are you happy with that one?
Oh my god, I'm so happy, honestly. Like, this was a very clean race on my part. I think one of my cleanest races ever. The sprint, I probably could have won the sprint. The thing that happened, because on the last lap, Nifo just, I don't know, spun off the straight after he disconnected or something. I was literally so distracted by it. I was like thinking what happened to him, and I just didn't notice I overcooked my rear tires. So I just couldn't like stay close to Devon, and just, yeah. I got P2 in the end, but yeah, it's good. And then the feature race. Yeah, I mean, it was clean. Like, there wasn't really anything notable, to be honest. Like, I didn't make literally any major mistakes. I'm only just wondering what the tactics of like Zingy were, because like we were obviously trying to catch him, but he lost like at some point I think a second in like 3 laps. I don't know if he was like slowing down on purpose. I don't know if he just lost ERS or was overheating on tires. Just, I don't know. It kind of seemed like he literally just let us into the DRS, but regardless. Yeah, I was in the good position in the DRS, then Samaxon and Zingy just started fighting on the last couple laps, and yeah, it just enabled me to get out of DRS for like the last sector literally, and yeah, I just drove to the finish line.
Yeah, it was very nice indeed, and you had a bit more battery to spare. I noticed that, so it looked pretty much done, unless something drastically went wrong. But really, congratulations, well done indeed. Brilliant performance today. Hungary. Do you like that circuit more than Silverstone? Do you think you can do another victory, maybe back to back?
Hungary is literally my worst track. I hate it. I don't know. I'll try.
Fair enough. Hopefully it can work out for you. You've got a 100% podium rate this season so far.
Oh wow, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it is very, very cool. So well done. I can't wait for the next one. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, thank you.
And we move on to Zingy. Zingy, a brilliant effort. It didn't go your way in the end, but I have to say the pace at the start of the race was absolutely awesome.
Yeah, I mean, with intermediate conditions, I know that I'm probably going to be the fastest. It's just something that I'm weirdly good at. I'm just very good when it comes to driving in the wet. So I managed to climb my way back up to P1 from P5, and from then on, from then on, it was just try to build that gap as much as I can. I got it to about a second, and then the pit lane kind of messed me up because unfortunately I'm not very good at that. And yeah, I built a gap from there out the pit lane. It was like 2.5 seconds at one point, and I knew like even at points I was keeping pace with them when they were switching DRS. So I knew I was the fastest. But once it came down to 1.2 and I seen Charlie overtook St. Maxon, or the other way around, I just saved the DRS, and that's why I kind of let them in. And unfortunately, from there they were quite smart when it came to it. And I'd rather lose 2 points than 4 points, so that's why I let Charlie have the win.
Fair enough. Yeah, it was a bit of a tactical game. With all of it, with the championship being so close, of course, and with you and Sir Maxon being closer than you both are to Charlie, you kind of just had to make that call at the end there and fight each other to finish ahead. Yeah, honestly, it was a crazy race, and obviously someone has to finish behind, but it's still a podium, and you know, like you said, you lost less of a gap than you would have if you tried to go for the victory, and maybe that didn't work out and Sir Maxon got it. Anyway, I'm losing my words. Hungary, high downforce. I can't quite remember who won it last time. I think it was Bassoon, but you were fighting for the victory in that one. Do you think you can go one better?
I think, yeah, I mean, Hungary's one of my good tracks. Very tight technical, as Charlie said. And I think, given a good setup, I could probably win it, yeah. I just need to find that right setup like I did today. And once I do that, I definitely have probably more of an opportunity in Hungary because it's less easy to overtake. And I know if I can get into that P1, it's much easier to keep it as opposed to Silverstone where it's just DRS central. So I think I can definitely win that race.
And I guess intermediates all the way through the entire race would be nice as well.
Oh no, full West, full West.
Fair enough. Thank you very much, Zingy. Really good effort today, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
And that's been it for the post-race interviews. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure. We will see you tomorrow for the Great British Grand Prix for the F1.5 EU Championship. We'll see you in 2 weeks for the Hungarian Grand Prix. I cannot wait. That's always an absolutely awesome race. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.